Hello and welcome. This is TVC News at 7. Different twists and turns continue to emerge in the build-up to the presidential elections in 2023. 7 aspirants have declared interest to run for the presidency, with the latest being the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, who formally declared his intention to run on the platform of the All Progressives Congress earlier today. In his declaration speech, Professor Osinbajo, who was Attorney General of Lagos State when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was governor, expressed commitment to continuing President Muhammadu Buhari's vision for the country. Senior correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
After months of speculations, uncertainty, and what appears to be pussyfooting, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has declared his interest to contest for the presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress.
Dear Nigerians, I believe that the very reason why the Almighty God gave me these experiences, these insights, and these opportunities is that they must be put to the use of our country and its great peoples. Which is why I am today, with utmost humility, formally declaring my intention to run for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the platform of our great party, the All Progressives Congress. If by the grace of God and the will of the people I am given the opportunity, then I believe that first we must complete what we have started.
In a video released online, Vice President Osinbajo talked about his credentials of how he has worked neck deep in the Muhammadu Buhari administration to drive policy implementation and give the government direction.
For the past 7 years, I have served as Vice President under a true Nigerian patriot, a servant of the nation in war and peace, and a man of integrity, President Muhammadu Buhari. We have together worked through some of the most difficult times in the history of our nation. But we have remained focused on securing the country, on providing infrastructure, and growing our economy.
The VP's expression of interest is the first time a presidential aspirant will formally declare on social media. On Twitter, the microblogging site, Professor Yemi Osinbajo has 3.6 million followers. On Instagram, he has 872,000 followers. On TikTok, he has more than 80,000 followers and more than 700,000 followers on Facebook. His engagement using the social media has experienced an exponential growth over the years. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, a former Attorney General in the administration of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, was however silent about his stellar career working with the former governor of Lagos State, who is also a presidential hopeful on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. Now that he has publicly declared his interest to occupy the most coveted seat in the country, he will come under intense scrutiny and will also walk a tightrope to emerge as the most preferred candidate of the APC. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Presidential aspirant Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has briefed governors of the All Progressives Congress about his presidential ambition in Abuja, where he commended them for their roles in the success of the party's national convention. Chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum, Abubakar says the governors in attendance are pleased to have the presidential aspirant and they will look into Asiwaju Tinubu's message and request. Olawakon reports.
As stipulated by the Nigerian Customs.
Few hours after Vice President Yemi Osinbajo finally declared his intention to run for the position of the president of the country, the national leader of the APC met with APC governors to inform them about his ambition. After the closed-door meeting, Asiwaju Tinubu, whose intention is already known in the public space and has consulted widely, says he came to seek their support.
My mission is to seek collaboration, support, encouragement of my party, the APC, for my ambition and my mission to become the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum and Governor of Kebbi State, admits that the governors present were pleased to officially hear the intention of Asiwaju Tinubu to run for the office of the President of Nigeria in the 2023 elections and his agenda for the nation.
We appreciate him, we appreciated the message, and we will definitely discuss the message at our one of our forums meetings.
At least 14 governors were in attendance, unlike the 10 governors that attended the meeting with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Governor Bagudu also reacted to the meeting with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and now Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
The fact that we have people in our party who express the desire to lead the party, the party into electoral contest at the highest office shows how much this party has resonated with Nigerians and our party members. And for us, it's a hallmark of success.
This is Asiwaju Tinubu's response when he was asked about the declaration of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who is publicly known as one of his political beneficiaries.
Your son has just declared.
Thank you. I have no son grown enough to declare.
With this latest development, the next few weeks will experience a lot of political permutations, consultations, and declarations ahead of the ruling party's primary election. Ola Awakon, TVC News, Abuja.
Senior correspondent Femi Akonde joins me now to bring us updates on the Vice President's declaration and other issues in the build-up to the APC presidential primary. Femi, the heat is on and many big shots are throwing their hands in the ring. The latest is the Vice President. What do you see this declaration by the VP bring into the outlook of the presidential race?
Their heart in the ring. We know that the contest will be intense. We have seen the former governor of State Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have seen Rochas Okorocha, former governor of Imo State. We have even seen the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, and now the vice president. A lot of people had expected this, but there have been so many denials before now that, is he going to contest? He is not contesting. He is concentrating on issues of governance and all of that. But now he has come out publicly via social media to declare his intention to run, and that has dominated discussions in different quarters, even online, where the vice president chose to use to make that declaration. The conversation on Twitter has been huge. The hashtag Shibajo declares is the top trending as we speak, with more than 30,000 tweets to its credit, and it's still counting. So many people are talking about it, talking about the contributions of the vice president to the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, and some are also talking about other issues. They say that, well, if we
All right, Femi, I'm afraid I can't hear you any longer, but then you have made some points there. Senior correspondent Femi Akonde joined us from the nation's capital, Abuja. Well, just as political parties meet minds and prepare to put the best candidate forward in 2023, an advocacy group is sensitizing voters on the need to get their permanent voter cards and participate in the forthcoming elections. The group commenced an education and awareness campaign at Jikoyi community in the Federal Capital Territory. Correspondent Habida Lawal reports.
During elections, there are often reports of violence across Nigeria, which create palpable fear among citizens. The social media has become a veritable tool for spreading hate messages against tribes, religion, and ethnicity, all in a bid to sway the electorate. Recently, Nigeria's electoral body is keen that a participatory electoral process be put in place, one that citizens will be aware of what is expected of them during elections. This advocacy group has identified communities in the Federal Capital Territory with poor voter education and awareness and is starting up a sensitization process.
I say I must do
something differently.
Every one of us have a right to defend our nation through electioneering. So we must all register our PVC, collect our PVC, and vote. We will not just vote, and ensure that our vote counts.
We are using this opportunity to send message to the community to please encourage their people to come out en masse to pick their permanent voters card, and those that have not yet registered, they can as well come in, provided they are above 18.
Some of the residents complain that they fail to vote during elections, even with their permanent voters card, due to their lack of trust in the integrity of the electoral process.
Some of the participants, they don't know how to go about it, and the lady there was able to explain how you can, especially if you live in a very far place before, and now you now find yourself in another community. So she explained on how you can get this, what they call transfer.
When you hear that your neighbor went, he didn't succeed, you will not have that power to go. But with the teaching we had this morning, at least we can be able to do something or to move forward to go and do the voters card.
Nigeria's underdevelopment as a nation, despite its abundant resources, is attributed to flawed electoral processes. There is an intimate link between the subversion of the electoral process, electoral fraud, and poor governance. It has also become necessary that challenges that will have grave impact on elections should be properly addressed before 2023. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
One of the main concerns ahead of the 2023 elections is the rising insecurity in the country. Speakers at an inclusive security meeting in Abuja say those at the helm of affairs in the country must begin to find lasting solutions to the insecurity rocking the nation or risk not having elections in 2023. Helen Osamide-Akins reports.
There have always been minor security challenges in Nigeria since independence, but never has it been as bad as what obtains presently. Insecurity is at an all-time high, with lives and properties lost on a daily basis. As the country treads the path of yet another elections in 2023, there are fears that the elections may not hold as the spirit of insecurity continues to increase across the country. This conference draws key influencers from different segments of the society with a view to discussing steps to ensuring violence-free elections in the country. The speakers believe the only way forward is for the government to address insecurity with all urgency and save the country from unforeseen circumstances.
I see politicians just campaigning, running around for declaring interest. Which nation are you going to rule in 2023? Are you sure that the bandits, the terrorists, will not overwhelm us before 2023 with the way things are going?
To ensure peaceful coexistence among Nigerians, issues of suspicion among ethnic nationalities must also be addressed. Many believe this is the root cause of insecurity confronting the nation.
Must be seen to be independent without corruption and government interference. We do not want to see the death vote. We must be sure that no one takes advantage of our vulnerable.
Our politicians cause this mess, and the military is calling to clean it up, and they cannot. Because banditry is a social problem and not a military problem that we are continuing to militarize. We need to sort this thing out in each of the 6 geopolitical zones. There is a place for the military, there is not going to be a military solution to banditry.
In dealing with the security situation in Nigeria, men of goodwill from every part of the country must come together for the sake of the country's shared humanity and to find a way forward for the development, peace and progress of the nation. Helen Osamide-Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
Sunday afternoon's attack on 4 communities in Kanam Council area of Plateau State by suspected bandits has risen to more than 70, and the numbers are still increasing. Several persons were reportedly abducted by the attackers, with more than 100 houses razed in the attack, which lasted about 4 hours. TVC News' Funam Joshua reports on the latest development.
Plateau State is yet again in a mood of mourning and uncertainty with the attacks and abductions now on the rise across the state. Now, hardly a day goes by without reports of violence springing up in one part of the state or the other. The latest is the death of 70 locals and mostly farmers in 4 villages of Kanam Council area following attacks by bandits. Some eyewitnesses who pleaded for anonymity told us over a phone conversation that the gunmen came in large numbers, 3 each on a motorcycle, shooting people at close range without any provocation. Several locals were said to have been badly injured with over 100 houses bombed during the attacks which started in the afternoon. The state of insecurity in the country is worrying, to say the least, and the president of Evangelical Church Winning All, Ekwa, is urging citizens to do more to defend themselves against all forms of violent attacks. He also calls on the government to do more in fulfilling their primary responsibility of protecting the lives and properties of all citizens.
The council encourages its members and Nigerian citizens as a whole to exercise their fundamental right to self-defense as provided by Section 33 to subsection A of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended in the face of attacks by these terrorists.
Some communities in Plateau State in recent times have suffered a series of attacks that have caused the loss of many lives. The leadership of Irigwe Development Association says it is tired of signing peace agreements with no positive result. Its reaction is coming barely 2 weeks after an attack unleashed in 2 of their communities that led to the death of 12 people in the area.
So I want to call on the authority, if they are truly concerned about the peace that they have been preaching, then they must wake up to their responsibility. We have been having several meetings, dialogues. But I want to tell you categorically that I'm tired with those kind of meetings. Those meetings, as far as I'm concerned, they are just meetings that doesn't have any results.
I'm Joshua, TVC News, Jos.
At least 39 kidnapped victims have regained their freedom in Zamfara state. The victims, who have been in captivity since March and April, were rescued by police tactical operatives in Bungudu and Maru local government areas of the state. While addressing journalists in Gusau, the Zamfara State Police Commissioner Ayub Elkanah said the successes were recorded following search and rescue operations by troops of the command. Among the victims are 8 men and 15 females, including nursing mother and 16 children.
On the 10th of April 2022, police tactical operatives on clearance operation have rescued 39 kidnapped victims who were abducted in March and April early this year, 2022, at various villages and locations in Bungudu and Maru local government area. The rescued victims include 8 male, 15 females, including nursing mothers, and 16 children. On the 1st April 2022, police in Gusau Central Police Station received information from Bauchi State that the above-mentioned suspect involved in a minor vehicle accident at a point before Ganjua local government of Bauchi State with the above-named vehicle that was stolen at the residence of one Osman Shehu of Anturi area, Gusau local government area.
Kaduna State is slowly being turned into a bandit stronghold as terrorists intensify their campaign of violence against innocent citizens. The bandits are becoming more daring, and their attacks are taking on the signature of Boko Haram terrorists. Now, the attackers of the Kaduna-Abuja train have again released another video, this time parading more victims abducted during the train attack. But this is coming barely 2 weeks after the train incident. Lupiasom reports.
Alwan Ali Hassan, the managing director of Bank of Agric, was a victim of kidnapped by terrorists. He was among those abducted during the train attack, but was freed 9 days later. There are reports that was only possible after ransom was paid to the abductors. But in this video released by the terrorists, he said the bandits considered his age and the Ramadan fast. But he's just one out of several kidnapped for ransom in Kaduna. And the Kaduna government confirmed that thousands of citizens have also been kidnapped, and many are still in the custody of the bandits. But while some regain their freedom, others are not so lucky and are eventually killed. The terrorists in that video also threatened to kill their victims if the government failed to meet a certain demand they claim the government is aware of. But 4 days after, the bandits released another video parading more kidnapped victims. This time, they make them call on the government to come to their rescue.
And I'm talking on behalf of the students. Government should please hear our cry and come to our aid. Thank you.
Which school are you from?
I'm a student of Kaduna State University.
What is your name? What is your name?
I'm Apapa.
From which state?
Kaduna State.
Where are you studying?
I'm schooling in Kaduna State University.
There are concerns that the nature of operation of the bandits indicates that they may be collaborating with Islamist group Boko Haram, an opinion the Kaduna government also shares.
And increasingly we are seeing collaboration between bandits and Boko Haram, as we saw in the bombing of the tracks on the Abuja-Kaduna train line.
Observed in 2021 that there's a growing interaction between bandits and terrorist groups like Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Ansaru. And it has manifested recently.
But while Boko Haram in the northeast is ideology-driven, the bandits in the northwest are targeting critical national assets. They have become more daring and their attacks more devastating. Governor Nasir El-Rufai at the State House in Abuja said they have created an industry out of criminality. But he's called for the invitation of foreign mercenaries to address insecurity that seems to overwhelm the Nigerian military have been heavily criticized. Others argue that the opinion is even subversive. He has also appealed for a military theater command to be established in the northwest region. Meanwhile, several residents in Kaduna State now feel vulnerable and helpless. Most of them are now going spiritual, looking up to God for protection. But they still call on the government to be more proactive in tackling insecurity once and for all. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
The failure of security and allied agencies to collaborate effectively in sharing intelligence is part of the reasons for a surge in the security challenges Nigeria is faced with. This came to light at the start of a course in criminal and security intelligence management at the Defense Intelligence College, Abuja. Sifon Isien reports.
Thank you, sir. Please, another round of applause.
Officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces and allied agencies converge on the Defense Intelligence College for a 4-day training.
There's something bad with you happening if you are...
The leadership course in criminal and security intelligence management is meant to promote collaboration among security and allied agencies in intelligence gathering and sharing. This is coming barely 12 hours after a video was released showing kidnapped victims of the Kaduna train attack. The incident, which is part of a larger security challenge in the country, served as a reference for intelligence failings.
We're not dealing with a low-level field exercise, but what policies, what relationships, what expressions did we not make that has brought this thing on our faces? I believe this forum should be something that will discuss that.
The failure of agencies to work together effectively in gathering and sharing intelligence, coupled with inability to secure community support, pose grave security implications.
Of course, we must find a way of getting the average Nigerian on the street to be part of the security setup, because they see what is happening. If they don't pass the information, we will only be reacting. And I give an example of what happened, the train attack in Kaduna Abuja train something. It's not that people wouldn't have seen the mass movement of the bandits or the terrorists or whatever we want to give them, but people believe it's not my problem.
The participants will be saddled with the task of proffering solutions to the challenges. It all boils down to intelligence, that is getting the right information, processing them into intelligence and taking the right action at the right time, which experts have said is lacking at the moment. Sifon Isien, TVC News, Abuja.
Still on security matters, Gunmen have razed the country home of Imo State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Cyprian Akaulisa. Also razed was his father's house in Obibi, Awoidemili, also local government area of the state. In 2021, hoodlums burnt part of the commissioner's house. In the latest attack, the invaders completely burnt the commissioner's house and that of his aged father. The commissioner has confirmed the attacks in a statement. Mr. Akaulisa says the hoodlums also carted away all of his property. The Imo State Police Public Relations Officer, Michael Abatam, is yet to confirm the incident. Many residents of Igbaja in Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State are now homeless following the destruction of their houses by a rainstorm. The state government has promised to provide assistance as victims count their losses. Correspondent Ibrahim Alege reports.
The ancient town of Igbaja in the Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State experienced a heavy rainstorm over the weekend. As a result, many buildings were destroyed in the town. Private residences, schools and worship centers, as well as electric poles, were badly affected by the storm.
The rain started at about 10:15 in the night and went through like that till to 12 or after 12 like that. And the storm was just too much that it affects the residential building and offices in the school. Even to the extent the papers, the exam papers our students have written, the rain affected those papers.
While some minor repairs have been done, many victims are still counting their losses.
So the classroom that were affected, if you cannot stay in that classroom, we'll look for means of putting the pupils somewhere else. And I myself, we are praying that there should be no rain for now. Because if there is rain, it means I have to put up somewhere.
We all sleep on the soak mattress and mat. They do the estimate yesterday that we need up to 1,860,000 to roof it.
Just like Mr. Boyega for Laromi, most of the victims cannot afford to repair their buildings. Their pleas to government have not fallen on deaf ears, as government delegation is here to assess the level of damage and the possible ways government can assist.
The government will respond in no time so that our people's livelihood can be restored. We will take this. We are here in company of a number of government functionaries who I am sure will take this information to the governor and to the government, and appropriate steps will be taken, I can assure our people.
Our coming is one of the things they may expect from the government, to sympathize with them. And later, government will do one or two things to cushion the adverse effects of the disaster throughout the town. And we pray that reoccurrence will not be there.
The victims of the rainstorm can only wish and pray that it doesn't rain again before help comes their way. Ibrahim Alege, TVC News, Igbaja.
Let's turn attention outside Nigeria. Shehbaz Sharif is now Prime Minister of Pakistan. The parliament elected him following weekend removal of Imran Khan in a vote of no confidence. Ahead of the vote, lawmakers from Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party resigned en masse, boycotting the election of Mr. Sharif, the younger brother of three-time Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. In his first address, Prime Minister Sharif discussed the foreign policy failures of the outgoing government and said he will expedite the multi-billion-dollar China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project and rebuild broken ties with partners and allies. The Prime Minister invited his Indian counterpart to help solve the Kashmir dispute in line with United Nations resolutions. The 70-year-old leader comes from a family of industrialists that has become a political dynasty. He was elected to National Assembly in 2018 and headed the Pakistan Muslim League Janawaz Party after his elder brother was barred from holding public office for life after being held guilty of corruption.
Well, some business stories. Nigeria's non-oil exports have fallen by 39% from 6.9 trillion naira to 4.19 trillion naira in 10 years. Well, that's according to the latest report from the National Bureau of Statistics. The NBS foreign trade statistics data shows that 4.194 trillion naira non-oil exports recorded in 2021 is 39.34% lower than the 6.914 trillion naira non-oil exports recorded in 2012. In 2012, Nigeria's total export amounted to 22.446 trillion naira. Out of this number, 15.531 trillion naira was crude oil exports, while 6.914 trillion naira was non-oil exports, while non-oil exports comprised 30.8% of total exports that year. However, in 2021, the nation's total exports were estimated at 19.057 trillion naira, with non-oil segment occupying 4.194 trillion naira, with non-oil exports comprising 22.07% of total export last year. The data further showed that non-oil export share of the total export was highest at 30.8% in 2012 and lowest at 11.86% in 2015. 53.5 billion naira has been recovered from debt owed government in the last 12 to 18 months. Finance Minister Mrs. Zainab Ahmed made this known at the launch of the project Lighthouse Debt Analytics and a reporting platform. Lara Afolayan reports.
Activities the world over are largely data-driven, but that practice is not very rife in Nigeria. This is because the country has not had a culture of using data and information to guide the formulation for implementation and assessment of its initiatives as well as policies. A review of perceived leakages resulted in government issuing a directive years ago so all agencies can aggregate debts with a view to having a single window on the country's debt profile. Through this means, over 53 billion naira has been recovered through the government integrated financial management information system.
So Project Lighthouse, which we call a single source of truth, is a data engine that has been able to aggregate different sources of data. We are holding this stakeholder platform to sensitize ministries, departments, and agencies so that they can log on the debts that is owed to them on the portal to enable us aid them in the recovery process.
To build on these efforts, a debt recovery application has now been built, and it will be monitored by the Debt Recovery Unit. It is expected to capitalize on efforts by project consultants to provide government with up-to-date records into its credit status by harmonizing debt records across MDAs.
So far, we've been able to aggregate debt worth 5.2 trillion on the platform, and we've been able to recover about 53 billion naira using this platform. There's a lot of work to be done.
We see many people who borrowed money and who cannot not pay their taxes. So we felt it was necessary for us to come up with a solution where all the ministries can come together, aggregate all the debtors, that is people who are indebted to government, and also now see those people who are still in the system doing business with government.
The platform also gives debtors a means of viewing and offsetting debts in a seamless and secure manner.
The project Lighthouse was ratified by the Federal Executive Council in 2019. It is an engine that collects, integrates, and analyzes data from revenue-generating agencies towards the recovery of debt owed government. Lara Folayan, TVC News, Abuja.
The Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, says it has accredited 21 bank academics and closed the year 2021 with a net operating surplus of 800.14 million naira. CIBN outgoing president, chairman of council, Dr. Bayo Lugbemi, made this known during the 2022 annual general meeting of the institute held in Lagos. Explains that the institute continues to stand tall as a vanguard for the promotion of banking education and professionalism in Nigeria. and in Nigeria, in line with its agenda. It further disclosed that the CIBN recorded an improved internal generated revenue of 1.76 billion naira in 2021 from 1.46 billion naira recorded in 2020, representing a growth of 20.3%. Addressing journalists at the event, the newly elected president and chairman of council, Mr. Ken Kwara, admitted the banking profession had lost its appeal to the younger generation, adding that the CIBN will leverage innovative hubs and other creative initiatives to create excitement around banking to make the majority of students look forward to the profession.
As you know, development in the banking space has been on the increase, not only in Nigeria but globally. With the advent of the pandemic, we have started to do things in a different way from what we used to do before. Banking has transcended beyond the mortar and brick that we used to know before. Today, we conduct our banking services through the digital system, and a lot is still happening and a lot is going to happen. So the banking is progressing in all spheres.
I can say clearly that the banks have made significant contributions. If you see the areas of digital penetration, you see that they have done so much. They've also contributed to support the small, medium and enterprise industries. But much is also needed. We expect them to continue to support the real sector, to also make impact in also building capacity. We also require that they should continually support the critical areas of the economy as much as possible.
All right, port traders are urged to adhere strictly to items of import and export prohibition list. The controller of Apapa Customs Command made the emphasis in view of emerging realities in cargo examinations through the non-intrusive inspection regime. Ifunaya Eze reports.
Fiscal policy normally change is dynamic.
The controller of the Apapa Command of the Nigerian Customs Service, Yusuf Malanta, says that trends import business is fast changing. Hence the need for stakeholders to align with a new paradigm. Giving a breakdown of the command's activities between January and March, he reveals that 264.5 billion naira has been remitted to the Federation account, representing a 65.7% increase over remittances made within the same period in 2021.
The monthly target of Nigerian Customs Service Apapa Command is 70 billion per month, and we generate over 85 billion every month. Anti-smuggling activities has become a matter of central concern in the command, particularly with the activities of recalcitrant traders who are always looking for ways to undermine our system.
Also speaking on non-compliant trade practices, he explains that the non-intrusive inspection regime will significantly detect import and export infractions, noting that it will increase volume of cargo inspection, save cost and clearing time, as well as reduce human interface.
Coming of scanners will increase examination output, and that means more cargo throughput, and that means more revenue to the government.
On exportation of agricultural goods, mineral resources and steel, among others, Controller Malanta says that the command recorded 34.072 billion naira with a free on-board value of $87.992 million in the first quarter of 2022, as against 30.2 billion naira with a free on-board value of $82.1 million realized in the first quarter of 2021. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News.
Well, gains by some high-capped stocks lifted activities at the Nigerian exchange as the week begins. Effiong Ekop has detailed reports on markets.
Stock trading at the Nigerian exchange hit up in many sectors at the start of the week. The upbeats came following strong gains by MTN Nigeria, UBA, WAPCO and May & Baker. The trading pattern threw up the markets index by 0.32%, helping companies to recover more than 12 billion naira from previous losses. Aviation company NECO hit straight 10% price jump at the close of business. USEN, Mayor Paint, Royal Exchange and Learn Africa also finished trading with top prices. Market analysts pointed to cheap securities prices attracting attention from many funds managers. On the downside of threats were Academy Press, Mutual Benefit, Japol Gold, Multiverse and Prestige Assurance. 244 million units of shares were traded with the value of 3.82 billion naira. Effiong Ekop TVC News, Lagos.
Well, that's business. We'll take a break and